Thank you, Mr. President. I thank the Presidency for convening this emergency session today. I also extend my thanks to the Secretary General for his powerful and comprehensive briefing. The Security Council convenes today at a pivotal moment in the history of the United Nations, a moment that unfortunately represents a glaring failure of the multilateral international system, a failure the League of Arab States has long warned against. Regrettably, it is a moment in which the Arab-Israeli conflict has expanded into a full-scale regional war, through which Israel seeks, through this escalation, to evade ending its occupation of Palestinian territories, to prevent the establishment of an independent Palestinian state, and to obstruct Palestine's admission to the UN in implementation of the two-state solution and the core principles of international legitimacy. Israel has done so by expanding the scope of its brutal military aggression against the Palestinian people in Gaza and the West Bank, by intensifying its efforts to annex the West Bank, and through repeated military attacks on Syria, Lebanon, Yemen, and Iran, all in a misguided attempt that is categorically rejected both regionally and internationally to impose Israel's hegemony on the Middle East by using military means. Even if it is at the expense of the member states of the League of Arab States and at the expense of the suffering of their peoples under Israeli policies and attacks aimed at imposing the law of force instead of the force of law. At the Council's previous meeting on this item last week, the Foreign Minister of Israel, the occupying power, made extremist religious assertions, thus offering clear evidence of the arrogance of Israel, which seeks to impose its own extremist religious interpretation on the word, claiming that all Palestinian land, including the West Bank, which cannot be annexed under President Trump's plan and under Security Council's Resolution 2803, all this Palestinian land has belonged to Israel for thousands of years. Such claims reflect an unmistakable contempt for the legal, historical, and foundational principles upon which international legitimacy have been built in this council and in this organization. Despite the announcement 2 days ago in Geneva that negotiations between the United States and Iran on the Iranian nuclear file has made some progress, Israel has blatantly disregarded all these developments in pursuit of narrow, self-serving interests. It has launched a wanton military attack at dawn today against the Islamic Republic of Iran, claiming that the attack was intended to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons. At the same time, Israel itself refuses to join the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. It refuses to subject its nuclear facilities to the IAEA's comprehensive safeguards regime, and refuses at the same time to attend the United Nations Conference on the establishment of a Middle East zone free of nuclear weapons and other WMDs. That conference, held for the seventh consecutive year at the United Nations last November, with the active participation of the Islamic Republic of Iran in all its sessions, and with the continued boycott of Israel and one permanent member of this council. This Israeli boycott of this important conference is clear. Although the conference seeks to achieve the same goal, which is to eliminate the ambiguous nuclear capabilities, both Israeli and Iranian, and this Israeli stand reflects the fact that Israel wants to remain the only state acquiring ambiguous nuclear capabilities in the Middle East and capable of producing nuclear weapons, which is something that Middle East countries cannot accept. Mr. President, despite all the above, the clear escalation among all parties amounts to a cowardly and unjustified military assault by the Islamic Republic of Iran on several Arab states that are members of the League of Arab States. This escalation threatens to widen the scope of the military conflict and risks igniting a full-scale regional war. The General Secretariat of the League of Arab States have issued an official statement from which I quote: "The General Secretariat of the League of Arab States strongly condemns the Iranian attacks on the State of Qatar, the Kingdom of Bahrain, the State of Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, and the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan." And I add the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Syria, and Lebanon. These missile attacks constitute a blatant violation of the sovereignty of states that advocate for peace and have worked to advance stability and did not participate in the war. The General Secretariat expresses full solidarity with these Arab states in confronting these attacks and affirms its support for any measures they take to defend themselves and to protect their populations. The Secretariat stresses that Arab states have taken clear positions regarding the Iranian crisis by rejecting military action against Tehran. Several Arab states exerted tremendous efforts to further mediation and to prevent the escalation we are witnessing today. The General Secretariat is deeply concerned by the grave dangers posed by the current situation in the region. It calls upon all influential parties in the international community to act immediately to de-escalate as quickly as possible, to prevent the expansion of regional instability and violence, and return immediately to dialogue. End of quote. In conclusion, Mr. President, the League of Arab States joins the Secretary General of the United Nations in urging all states to respect their obligations under international law, including the UN Charter, which clearly prohibits the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state, and prohibits any use of force inconsistent with the purposes and principles of the United Nations, especially when it involves attacking nuclear facilities, which could have catastrophic consequences for entire populations. The League also joins the United Nations in calling for an immediate cessation of hostilities and de-escalation to prevent a wider regional conflict that would have dire repercussions for regional stability in the Middle East. From this standpoint, the League of Arab States urges the Security Council, particularly with the United States assuming the Council's presidency beginning tomorrow, to lead the collective security regime to immediately halt military operations and to return to negotiations on all tracks, inspired by the positive momentum generated by last week's Board of Peace meeting and by the role of President Trump in advancing global peace, and in full respect for the established mechanisms of the multilateral international system, far from any geopolitical confrontations that will only prevent us from achieving global peace. Thank you, President.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Abdulaziz for the statement. The representative of the United States has asked for the